Unlock your business potential with Champs Consultancy Firm, your partner for success in the heart of Africa. Champs Consultancy Firm is your guiding light, serving small, medium, and micro enterprises across the African domain. Whether a startup or an established player, they are here to fuel your growth journey. Registration and compliance, they have got you covered. Their team handles all your company registration needs, from limited to non-profit organizations. Take charge of your finances with their accounting and tax services, and the exclusive package offers company SARS returns, bookkeeping, cash flow management, and more. However, they're more than just consultants. They're partners across a spectrum of expertise: customs and freight, tutoring and education, training and development, consulting and advisory, events and exhibitions, human resources, and sales marketing for your social media presence. Champs Consultancy Firm, ignite your potential and conquer new heights. Contact them today and embark on your journey to success. Hey beautiful people, welcome back to Divulge Talk Show. My name is Mabandi and welcome to another episode. Today we're going to be having another conversation that equips and elevates us. So I am joined by a beautiful guest, and I'll just give you guys a brief background of who she is. So she's definitely one of the women that I look up to. She is a mom, a business IT analyst professional, an entrepreneur, and a wife. She describes herself as a purpose-driven woman. She believes she was born for a purpose and given a certain period of time to fulfill her purpose on earth. Her commitment to strategic planning comes from the understanding that we are not born to be average, that is just to sleep, wake up, or pay bills. We were born for a significant purpose. She is passionate about impacting lives. This involves public speaking to inspire people to discover their purpose, to execute their vision. She is also the mind and the creator of the My Goal Execution Guide, which is designed to help individuals write their goals, be intentional about them, and to take action. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Millicent Musuwo.
Hello, everyone. You call them beautiful people.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, beautiful people.
How are you?
Because I feel like everyone know how they address their audience.
Yeah,
like,
especially when you start.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
I'm good. You're good.
Yes.
So before we actually get into the conversation, I'm just going to ask you two questions.
Okay.
What is the one book that you've read and has transformed your life for the best?
Purpose-Driven Women. By Miles Monroe.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. And what is the one thing you've always wanted to try but you haven't tried it out yet?
That I'm still trying to do it.
Yeah.
Or I've given up.
Or anything.
Okay, one thing is growing up, I've always wanted to be a plant pathologist, but it didn't happen. But I no longer want to do that.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay,
Yeah.
so the first segment of this show, I want to talk about your life and your career. And when I was doing my research, I found out you grew up in Limpopo.
Yeah.
And I just want you to tell us more about that little girl growing up until your high school years. I know that you're Millicent Musuwo now, but I want you to talk about Millicent Majaka.
Okay.
Just give us a brief background of
Yeah.
who you were back then, just your upbringing.
Okay. Just a normal village girl or village, baby. Raised by my grandparents, because I'm the first grandchild. You know how it goes when you are a first grandchild. You are literally your grandparents' last born. That was the case with me. Grew up in a very loving family, grounded. People always say, I think you are so grounded. I think about it a lot, and I think it's coming from my childhood and the foundation that my grandparents gave me. They were a little strict. Wasn't allowed to play with other kids. I can say they were not necessarily strict but overprotective. So I grew up as a very indoor person. Like to leave my house is just
difficult.
It's very difficult because I was given that kind of foundation. Went to started crèche in the same village, and then went to primary school in the same village until I lost my grandfather in grade 4. Obviously things changed, and then I decided to join my mom there and there, and then until I went to high school. I went to where my mom used to stay.
Okay.
That's where I did my high school. That's where I literally got to, stay with her. And then while visiting my grandmother, but my grandparents were literally my parents.
Yeah.
Like, even when they passed, I grieved them like my parents.
Yeah, I mean, you guys had a bond.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I grew up in a normal village family, and the village that I come from is very like, it's like if each and every household feels like home. Ubuntu, like they are so close. The man next door could actually be your father. If you don't have a father, they still had that thing growing up. But yeah, until I went to varsity. Yeah, and that's when I came to Joburg.
Okay. So you said your grandparents are very strict. Do you feel that it has affected your socialization now growing up? Do you feel like you struggle to make friends?
A lot. Really? But at the same time, I think it had a lot of advantages looking at how life is right now. Okay. So I learned to enjoy my own company, and I think a lot of strength came from that, or the ability for me to do so. A lot of people can spend time with themselves. And it shocks me a lot. Especially with my purpose, you need some time alone a lot. I think everyone needs some time alone. There's no way you can actually make any moves if you never really get to spend time alone. Time alone is very important. So but getting into varsity, I couldn't make friends. Like, there was I studied IT, there was a group of IT people that would work together, chill together, and it was so awkward for me. I'd go to class and pass them, go back to my room. And if I feel like if I go to this class and they just reading a textbook, some classes are not practical. I would tell myself that I'm ever going to go to that class when I write an exam. I'm never going to go. I can read textbook. And that's how hard it was for me to make friends and actually be in a crowd. So there were classes that I knew I'm not going to attend. Then I only went when I write exam. Then there were practical classes like programming, maths. I needed to be there so that I can learn. But immediately after that, I'll go back to my room. And then also, even when I came to, I remember this friend of mine telling people at work, because we met as interns, like the very first job that I got here. So we met there. Then we found accommodation together. We looked for accommodation together, and then we were living in the same flat. She was telling my colleagues that Lamona Millicent, like, when we leave here on Friday, she's ever gonna come out of that room on Monday. That's how it was, and that's literally because of how I was raised.
Because of how you were raised. And let's talk about the transition from being a village girl when you came to the urban. I know that it's different. It was a different exposure. How did that affect you? Your mentally, emotionally? Obviously, like, some of the things that are in the villages are not in the urban area. So how were you able to adjust in such a situation?
Okay, I'll start with my academics. It was hard because in a village you learn everything in your language. Even maths, they teach you Gasipedi, like so getting to varsity or getting this side, not everyone can speak your language. You need to speak English. Those were one of the things that were really hard for me. I would always want to practice, or train my tongue to sound a certain way, just so I can fit in. And it was hard for me. I had to practice a lot. And then the other thing, growing in a village, one of the disadvantages is that you are far from a lot of things, you're not exposed to a lot of things like computer, and there I was studying IT, and I'm expected to know how to use a computer. So those were one of the things that were really difficult for me. So because I didn't even have a laptop at that time, I had to make it work. So I would go to computer lab after class or when I'm free and take any book and try to type what is written there. So every day, that's how I practice, and exercise like my muscle. And also reading helped me a lot. And also having a roommate that didn't speak Sepedi. I think she was the very first roommate that I had was Venda. So we had to communicate in English. So you know, the more you do something, the more you get better and better and better. But I would have loved that. I just know, you know, when I get there, I just knew how to articulate myself. So those are one of the things that they were very, very difficult. But in terms of the livelihood, like what I said about Ubuntu, I would choose village anytime because it's very safe. People still care about each other. They love each other. And then when you come to the urban areas, everyone is doing, you know, they're looking after themselves. If I see the house burning, I might not even be involved in those things.
Exactly.
You see? And if I hear a child cry in a village, they actually come out to find out what's going on. In urban area, they don't care. It's your own problem. So you have to deal with it. So those are the things that, and also crime in a village is much better than in urban. So it's much more safer. I've stayed in townships as well. Maybe we'll get to that a little bit later. But after staying in township, like especially the Joburg township, Soweto, I told myself I would choose village or like a deep urban area anytime.
Okay,
or suburbs.
Okay, that's actually really interesting. So, okay, you spoke so much about not really as much about your university life, but I do remember in one of your videos you spoke about provision. And how God provided through people and all those kind of things. I know you're a Christian, and so am I, and I want us to touch more about human angels, because at times God sends people to help us in situations, and maybe sometimes when that person helps you, you never hear about them anymore. So maybe can you just take us through about that phase of your life where God sent people to assist you?
I'll just quote a few incidents, man. Like from the first day, I think my mom's faith was just so big at that time because she had no means of income. It was after we lost my dad as well. And she said to me, "You're not going to stay at home. I want you to go to school. I'm going to do whatever it takes for you to go to school." So we had very little money. I don't know why I forget the figures. It was literally for transport, and I knew for sure I wasn't going to have enough to last me for a week. And she promised me that she's going to call a few people that she knew that were going to accommodate me. Took me to the taxi, came to the Joburg for the first time, went to Vaal University. When I get there, right on the queue, as I was speaking to my mom, there was this lady, she's my best friend now. She hears that I'm speaking Sepedi. You know, when you're speaking, when you hear someone speak Shona, are you Shona?
Yeah, I'm Shona.
Speak Shona, you obviously gonna, hey, where do you come from? You know? So that was the case. And then I told her, and then she could see that, man, we on the queue, I'm carrying a bag, I'm frustrated. She asked if everything is okay. I told her what was going on. She said to me, wait, where I stay right now, there's 2 single beds. So you can actually come and stay with me while you sort yourself out. But it was also that house, they were about to turn it into a student house. So after they were successful in doing that, then I became one of the tenants there. And the house was like 3 minutes walk, literally opposite Value Beauty. So I didn't have to stress about transport money, and I got a homie that I can open to, and my mom just literally made a plan for me to just get the meals as she gets something. But that was the first person that I think God set me up with, and we lived there, and then it has just been about God touching hearts. And when it's happening at that time, my highlight of the whole thing is that no one knows. No one can claim that they made me because they don't know. Like, for example, how do you explain me maybe being good in maths by the grace of God, and someone from class say, I saw that you're actually good with this thing. Can you help me? Then maybe someone from rest, those arrest students, bursary students. So I'm like, sure, I can help you. And let's go to my room because it's closer. And then later I can accompany you to yours. I'm like, sure, no problem. Went to a room. Obviously, as Africans, you cannot like go to the room with someone and not even provide something to eat.
Yeah.
So it's after class, we both hungry. She just made something to eat. She's been human. For me, it's a provision.
Exactly.
Because I probably didn't know what I was going to eat at that time.
Yeah.
And maybe a friend would just say to me, you know what, since you are saving at church, and I was singing at church at that time, you always on the spotlight and people can see, can I use you to advertise my hair services? Like she used to do braids and ponytails. I think we were doing ponytails
At
during
that
that time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, sure. My mom didn't have to worry about money for the hair. I also didn't have to worry about looking somehow. You know, to understand that people didn't believe that I used to not have anything. And there were times where I would not even go home. Like I would be at school the whole year. But for that, I would have like international students at rest. At least I wouldn't be alone. Because we would have to choose between going home, which is money, probably 500 rands. It was a lot at that time. Or using that money at least to sustain me. Because if I go home, when I get home, there's a situation, there's nothing. And now when I have to come back, it costs money as well. So I'd stay at rest, and then I would make friends with international students, and I'll feel so safe, and then keep myself busy with it's funny. I was reading one of the books, Kire. I feel like I've been preparing for my marriage and motherhood unaware. So during that time, that's how I discovered Dr. Miles Monroe. I started reading about marriage, how to be a good wife, kingdom parenting, all these things that I'm applying now. I literally learned them during that time when I couldn't go home. And even how I felt about not being able to go home, it didn't kill me. It wasn't like a painful thing. That's how God literally took care of me. And I'm enjoying those benefits now. So you see, when the word of God says everything work for the good for those that is literally what happened during my whole life at varsity.
That's good. You spoke about going back home and there was a bad situation. And you also spoke about that in one of your videos. And I do understand that you said you and your family would always pray together and you had a relationship with God.
You surely watch my channel.
But my question is, because from everything you described, it wasn't looking good.
It wasn't.
Did it ever make you feel like giving up on God? Like, I'm praying, I'm trying, but you're not really doing it. Did it shake your relationship or your faith in a way?
Not really, to be honest with you. And not that I can remember. But there was a time, because I made a promise that we're going to build a house, because at the time we were staying in a shack and the condition was terrible. So, but then for my family, there were times where they were like losing hope, because I remember my mom trying to see if we can get those government houses, RTPs, and I kept telling her, please don't register for those. I'm going to build. It's going to happen, And I think it was just a matter of when you feel low, one of us in the family would feel so strong and would be our strength. And then there were days where my brother would be so strong, and then we're like, oh, okay, we're going to hope. And also how God never failed. Every day there was a meal, even if like sometimes maybe it will come after we felt it, but it will come. We would sit, and then we realize that we actually not going to sleep with an empty stomach. Sure. I can't really say there was a time that I felt like giving up on God, as in like going for other means, to be honest. No.
Okay, that's good.
But there were times where you feel sad. That's human.
But at least you had someone who would strengthen you.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
So you used to love agriculture, and then somehow you are in the IT industry. So did IT totally wipe away your love for agriculture?
I think so.
Really?
I think so, because right now we have a garden at home. I'm not even interested. Like, I never even thought of planting anything.
Okay.
And maybe I thought I had a love for agriculture. Maybe I didn't.
Yeah.
Because, you know, in a village we have farms.
Yeah.
So the most important activities that we used to do was farming with our grandparents.
Oh.
You know, going to but again, reaping those mealies. Are they maize meals or mealies? What is it?
Anything maize meal.
Yeah, you know. And then we used to enjoy that a lot.
Yeah.
So then I think I was in love with agriculture because now that I'm exposed to IT, I realize that this is what I love.
Is it?
Yeah, I love my
So you don't
profession.
have any thoughts of going back? Maybe not as you, but just starting something to do agriculture?
Honestly, no.
Not at all?
Maybe cooking.
Okay, all right.
But not agriculture.
All right. You have a very strong relationship with your mom.
Yeah.
I actually once did a video on my channel about mother and daughter relationship.
Okay.
Can you just tell us more about how your relationship is with your mom?
Yeah. She's my best friend, guys.
Yeah.
She's my best friend. And I think our friendship was strengthened during that time when we were just alone, literally. Because during that season, we were like just the four of us. You know, it was just the four of us. And we were disintegrated from relatives and friends. It was just the four of us, and I think that's where our friendship started. You know, it's like starting a relationship with someone that you're building with, and that's the only person you probably talk to per se. So it means every day you are trying, both of you are praying about something, you have an update about what must happen, you hear what God is saying, you keep updating each other. Tomorrow I tell you, I saw a post, I sent my CV, let's pray, and then this happened. You know, that's how our relationship is. Obviously that was when I was single, and when you get married now, your spouse kind of fill in that role. You won't always tell your mom everything, and even when you're looking for a new job, it's your spouse now that you want to tell. But during that time, that's how my relationship with my mom was. I wouldn't have a problem with any of my friends knowing anything about me. As long as I told my mom, I'll feel so satisfied. That's why I'm saying she's my best friend.
That's good. And okay, I have this concept in my head that whenever people start something, be it a business, a YouTube channel, it always comes from something. Like, for example, when I started this show, I started it because I love hearing people's stories. I love talking to people. I can listen to you whilst I'm
And you're also in media. Are you not you report news, right?
Yes, I'm a journalist as well.
You're a journalist, yeah.
So it's something that I really enjoy. And you started a series called My Victory Story in 2020. Why did you start it? Because
I relate to the God's restoring power, like exactly how God restored us. And I realized that a lot of people don't know about a God who restores. The more you listen to people's stories, especially on social media, even the TikTok is worse because everyone is just like being real there, unlike other social media platforms. So I started it because of my restoration story that I'm sharing right now, that there is a God in heaven who can actually restore. So when I hear those testimonies and I air them out there and share them on my platform, the aim is to revive hope, so that in our community, so that people can be hopeful to know that their situation will not be the same. There's a God who can actually restore. It does not matter how big the situation or the circumstance is. God can restore, guys.
Yeah, because if you listen to some of the stories, you can, if you are complaining about your life, you can tell that someone else's life is even worse.
Absolutely.
And then you are just there sitting and you know that, okay, there is a God who restores. My next question, I want to talk about aligning your life with God and surrendering your life to God. Because there was a point when your grandma passed away and you talked about how you were trying to do things on your own will, until you gave up and you're like, okay, God, I'm surrendering this. What does it mean to surrender your life to God? Maybe to someone who's watching and they're struggling with putting their life in
Yeah.
God's hands. Because I know even myself, I've always been at a point where I have it planned. I want to do it this way. And then when it goes the other way, I'm like,
you get sad.
Yeah, I get sad.
Yeah, it's kind of normal to be sad.
Yeah.
But when you made the decision to say, I'm going to surrender it all to God, for me, is to seek His will in everything you do.
Yeah.
And it's actually an instruction in His word. He says, seek my will in everything you do, and I'll show you which path to take.
Yeah.
So this means even if you think you were building something and God says to you, give it away, that's what you must be able to do.
Yeah.
Because either way, nothing else will be so fulfilling for you or bring you that peace of mind. I mean, peace of mind has become new wealth.
Yeah.
You know,
True.
you can have all the money, and if you lack peace, it defeats the whole purpose because it can't buy you the peace.
Yeah.
So surrendering everything to God is literally just living for you. And to say, in everything that I do, I want to glorify you.
Yeah.
I want people to see you than me.
Yeah.
You know, because now you are committed to operating within His will. And then it won't be easy. Like, you can make that decision today, but it won't be easy. You know, you'll still feel sad and disappointed when things don't go your way.
Yeah.
But when you remind yourself that, and also I used to tell myself that if it was mine, like for example, if it was a business venture that you wanted to take, but you keep failing, and God says, I want you to be in ministry, for example. You're gonna get to terms that I don't even experience the peace that should come with what I'm supposed to be doing. I might as well do what
God wants.
Yes. And also when you acknowledge that God is your manufacturer, He's our creator. If you manufacture a product, it has to do what you created it for, right? When you acknowledge God as your creator, you're gonna perceive yourself as God's vessel. And you're gonna want to do as He says. If He says to you, this is what I want you to do in this season, you're gonna do it. And then obviously you will have your own ambitions and goals that you set, but if they don't go your way, you just be at peace knowing that they are definitely going God's way. Because what I do, I want to seek His will. So that's how my life looks like currently. I no longer get hurt or disappointed.
And how do you know if it's God's will, especially when the bad things happen?
The peace.
It
will come with the peace.
Okay.
I've heard things that I had to give them away.
Sure.
That were dear to me. But you just have the peace. And somehow it opens other doors that you've been wanting, and you've been knocking at, and you realize that it's God. But then when it's the enemy trying to distract you, you will not have peace. And also the thing with the enemy is that it's a thing of no. There's a rush to it, But with God, it has peace, and the calmness. So that's when you know that, because God gave us conscience. So you will be able to know when something is wrong. You will know.
Okay, and how does your relationship with God look like?
Just like a relationship with my lover. You don't want to start your day without hearing from them. You don't want to start your day without checking how your boyfriend is, or your girlfriend is, or your husband is doing, right? So I want to wake up in the morning and talk to God before I even challenge myself to say, before I even open the phone, because that can be very destructive. So first thing in the morning, I want to commune with God. For me to have a good day. Not to say I always make it, especially now that I have a child. Sometimes we have sleepless nights, and then the next thing when you wake up, people are already awake, you're already talking to people. It's not going to be the same, but just to set apart that time to say, I talk to God. And then secondly, there is nothing that I do without Him. Even when you asked me, I had to ask Him. I have to feel right about being on the show. That's how, And also, for asking for what to say, to guide the conversation. Literally, there's nothing I can do without God. Going to a workplace, I invite Him. If I have an important meeting, I invite Him. If I have to execute a task, I invite Him. I want Him to guide me. That's how my relationship with God is.
What happened to the bakery business?
I always say it was a seasonal business.
Yeah.
Because I started it during COVID. I was single at that time.
Yeah,
I was
you were
actually
single, yeah.
staying alone. I was staying alone in my apartment.
Yeah.
So there was no project.
Yeah.
I was not doing anything, and there was a time I was even tempted to go back home. Gary, do I go back home or do I stay here?
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? What do I have in my hands? I love to bake.
Yeah.
I love to cook.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about it. I might as well make money out of it.
Yeah.
So then that's when I started all the COVID funerals, was supplying scones. And the thing about doing something that God has given you the grace to do is it does not frustrate you. You don't burn out.
True.
When I say burn out, I don't mean you don't feel tired to take a nap after baking, but it does not drain you.
Yeah,
that's
and
what I
still feel the peace we're talking
about.
Yes,
you see. Yeah. So I enjoyed it. Like I would start baking from 9 p.m. and then come the following morning, I would bake the whole night, and then in the morning take a nap. 9 o'clock, I'm up, freshening up, delivering to my clients. So it's very demanding. So when I got the project, because I started it when I joined a consulting firm.
Yeah.
So now I'm an independent BA consultant.
Yeah.
So you work on projects and there are contracts. So during COVID, no one was willing to even open. Remember people were losing jobs. Yeah. So I was still part of the consulting firm, but I was not doing anything. Okay. Right. So that's when I started it. But it helped me raise lots of money for so many initiatives that I've done afterwards. Okay. So even being able to pay for my car. That's good. That's what I used the money from there. So, but then because it's so demanding, I couldn't continue. Maybe I'll come back.
I was actually about to say, is it something you should consider?
Because my clients want scones. Yeah. Like, even if
you gave up on agriculture, so at least
we'll see. Because my husband always say you could be owning a bakery by now.
Yeah.
We'll see. Maybe we'll bring it back.
Maybe you just need that. You need time.
Yeah,
confirmation.
Yeah, you see. Then I will make it. Just that now my career takes priority. Being a wife and a mom, and So
I understand. My goal execution guide. Now, I just want you to tell us more about it. And just to emphasize, I know you speak so much about planning and time. And personally, I think the planning works, but the allocation of the time
it does not work.
It doesn't work. So maybe just explain to us, what is the My Goal execution guide? What is it about, and why do we need it in our lives?
My Goal execution guide workbook. It's a workbook that will help you execute your plans, your visions or goals effectively. Because it allows you to lay down your vision to say, okay, this year this is the picture that I have. Could be I was just learning this year that it could be in making a bedroom makeover or your own house, that this is the picture that I see. Now I need to plan in terms of finances how I'm going to achieve this. But mainly it is for the vision for your life, what God wants you to do. If it's a talk show, if a talk show is one of the assignments that God has given you, where do you see it happening? And you set goals to say, we should reach more people. If you think the conversations that we have now, they're really helping young people or a specific audience that you're trying to target, then you need to have a picture of, you cannot want to be on the same level, a picture of what that looks like, and then set goals from there. Okay, what do I need to do? Maybe collaborations, maybe who do you want to collaborate with? There's always someone that you look up to in what God has called you to do, right? So those are the goals that you set because you want to achieve that picture. So the guide allows you to lay that down. So once you have that picture, you can set those goals. So for you to achieve the goal, you need to break it down into your daily tasks. People don't realize that it is your daily habits that actually helps you, or they just distract you, right? You can either choose habits that help you achieve your goal or habits that actually don't help you to achieve your goal. So my goal execution guide workbook will help you write down those activities that you need to complete. So every month I aim for something. For this month, this is what I want to achieve. So I write down activities that will help me achieve that in that month. On those activities, what are the tasks that you need to do? On a daily basis, you plan. So the time stamp now, it comes because that is not the only thing that you do. You probably have a 9 to 5, you probably have a child, you probably have other things to do. But in order for you to manage your time, the 24 hours that God gives you, you take the maybe first hours to say from this time to this time I am sleeping. Because I need the rest. From this time, 5 o'clock in the morning, I am starting with my devotion. And what time does it end? You need to know, right? Why is it important for you? Because you cannot do anything without God's guidance. Where do you get guidance? From the devotion, right? And then secondly, I'm just like showing you how you can actually put the timestamp. What do you do next? You must eat, right? Eat breakfast from this time to this time. I literally break it down like that. So that if someone say to me, can I call you? Can I interview you? I look at my plan and then I will tell you I'm free between this time and this time because the other times are already allocated for something. So if you don't put timestamps, you will be browsing social media and telling yourself, oh, I'll do it. You don't. But for me, I feel like once I put a timestamp, I'm going to log out and then focus on the things that I said I'm going to do. So obviously the workbook is not going to wake you up. You must have the drive yourself. You must still have the discipline. And I want to encourage people to not give up. It's not easy. Showing up for your goals, guys, nothing is easy. But you eventually choose your heart because you don't want to live your life like you are lost and miserable. Sometimes it comes from lack of planning. So allocate time so that it can protect you from even invites. You will be able to validate where they need you and what they need you for against the plan that you have. And it helps you because you eventually want to go to places that actually empowering you. You get to realize that I actually don't have a lot of time. Right? So you begin to go to places that actually empowers you to come and fulfill what you need to fulfill. If someone say, if you invite me to your show, I first needed to know about your show. Does it align with my values? The discussions that are there, is it an opportunity for me to inspire other people? Because that is my mandate as well. And I'm here talking about this. So I'm able to make time for such things. But then as you start planning for your time, you're going to realize that you don't need some people. You don't need some things.
It's like it's a pruning.
It prunes you. You don't need certain conversations. You don't need certain content. You realize that it drains me because you're going to want to do certain things that will force you to acquire knowledge. And we acquire knowledge through reading or watching a video or a podcast or whatever. So the more you spend time listening to a content or consuming content that actually helps you achieve your goals, you realize that you no longer have time for other types of content. So they are good, but they're just not for you. For example, if God says, I want you to grow apples, you cannot waste time listening to or consuming content that is about grapes.
That's true.
Because you're not going to achieve your own unique assignment. So not that grapes are bad. They're actually good. It's just that they're not for you. And because you allocate time, I'm going to realize that I no longer even have time to listen to how people are making grapes. Because now my lane is this side. I'm making oranges or I'm making apples. You get what I mean? So if you want a workbook, you're more than welcome to shout out. And you came to my workshops. They are so empowering.
Very impactful.
So and true. Very impactful. So that's literally what the workbook is about.
Where can we get the workbook?
You can get it on my website, www.millicentmusuwo.com. If not, you can literally DM me.
Okay.
Follow me on Instagram. I do take orders from the DM,
Alright.
and then we can process them on our back office, and then you will receive an email, and then once you make payment, we deliver it to you.
Alright.
So I feel like we need a virtual workshop soon.
Yeah, definitely.
Just to check in, because it looks like people are not putting timestamps.
Well, for me, I can say that the daily task I am able to write down.
Yeah.
The time slots, I struggle because I've always felt like it's not important to put time. I feel like as long as I've written them down and then I do them and complete them.
If you complete them, that's fine.
Yeah.
But for me, time is just because I have so much that I get to be busy with.
Yeah.
So when I allocate time, at least I'm able to also see that I'm not over allocating tasks for the day. Then I end up not even completing half of them.
Yeah.
You get me?
Yeah.
So if I have time, then I know, okay, from this time I'm being a mom. It's playing with Roba. Just gonna take my toys, no phones, nothing. And then from this time I wanna quickly do this task. And also because you now measure the task that you need to complete, how long it's going to take you to do it. That's why I put timestamps.
Okay. Alright, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So our next segment, I want to move to your love life.
Okay.
You're Mrs. Musuwo.
My favorite.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but in 2018 you met the love of your life.
Yeah.
Just tell us, what is it about him that you love? And also, was it like love at first sight, or was it like a gradual type of thing and then eventually you fell in love?
It was not love at first sight. I don't think that happens.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe love at first sight is when you're attracted to a person's looks or what.
Yeah, probably.
Or as you converse. I don't know. I've never experienced it.
Yeah,
but anyway, it was definitely not love at first sight. My husband reached out to me when I didn't even think I needed a man at that time.
Yeah.
So, but as I got to know him, I realized that he is everything I have been praying for. But he's not aware because he's just literally being himself. I've prayed for a faithful man, and I will see signs of a faithful man, not to me but to God. And you see in the little things like access to your phone, when you're dating, you see those things where he doesn't really have he doesn't jump when you try to, those are the little signs. And keeping his word as well, honesty as well, integrity. A lot of people respect him. If he's not gonna make it for something, he does tell you, I'm not gonna make it for something. If he can, he tells you he can. So those are the things. Like, he literally met the criteria. Although I was not looking, I was just going through a season where I just wanted God to restore my joy. And I keep saying this in all the interviews, but and when he came, he met it, like all those things. So I also, during that season, got to learn that you are not supposed to look at looks, what a person is wearing, how much money they got, as long as they have a potential and they have a vision and they have something that needs help, because that's what marriage is about. We marry for purpose. So when we in marriage, there's always going to be things that will keep us as best friends because we are working together, right? So that's what made me fall in love, and that takes a little bit of time. You need to spend time with the person. Could be a month or 2 or 3, but you should be able to see certain signs, and you should be able to know, oh, okay, we can actually date. Then that's how it happened.
And so during your courtship, God told you and he confirmed that he was your husband. And you're not the first woman to say this. I've watched videos. And I want to understand, how did God tell you? When did he tell you? And how did you know it was God confirming it?
I just parked my car, and then I didn't even save his number at that time. So I'm coming out of the car, and then I see, I don't remember if it was a call or his message, texting me or greeting me. Then I'm like, then that's how literally it happened. And we got, when your child is throwing tantrums and they are supposed to go to school. And then you're like, no matter what you do, you are going to school.
Yeah.
So that's literally how it happened. I went like, God was like, that's your man. And that voice, when I heard that voice, that's when I was like, wait a minute, what? I don't even need a man right now.
Yeah.
And then that's when I saved the number and I was interested to actually hear him out.
Yeah.
I even went to his Instagram just to check.
Like,
there was a time I even did
yeah.
photo college to see if
okay, yeah.
me and him, I'm like, you know?
Yeah.
And then and then when I gave him the attention, the thing is sometimes you might think, oh, God has spoken to you. What you see must be a confirmation. Because after I heard that voice, when I now gave him the attention, getting to know, that's when I realized that he is actually what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I am falling in love.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be what God said is the one and then only for you to bekezela in dating. No. You must really experience the joy and the love. Yeah. Because God will not bring you like
something that would take
no,
never.
Yeah,
that's true. And currently, when you go on TikTok, social media, people are complaining about the dating market.
Yeah.
They're saying it's really hard out there. Exactly. What advice would you give to unmarried people or people that are looking into dating, or maybe they're dating but not yet married? What is like your top tier advice? Like, this is what I can tell you guys.
Allow God to make you whole.
Okay.
Allow God to make you whole. I'll say it again. Allow God to make you whole. And embrace singlehood, guys. Embrace singlehood, because that is where you get to learn to love yourself. You learn to enjoy your own company. When you are whole, you will not say things like, after this guy left me, a part of me left with. No. God has made you whole. You won't be obsessed about the person. The love is normal. You actually love God more than them. Establish a prayer life. Establish a relationship with God. Like, be whole. Be so whole that you are ready to pour into your marriage. Because going into a relationship in order to get married, you must be ready to pour. Because marriage is not about taking something out of it, but it's about giving. So if God hasn't made you whole, it's only God who can make you whole. Remember I said, when you acknowledge Him as your creator, you're going to allow Him to heal you. You know, everything about you that is not healed. I'll give an example. In my the relationship that failed before I met my husband, I used to not to do things like to not be okay with not receiving a phone call. If he didn't check up on me, I want to trigger him to call. Like, maybe I can even lie and say I'm sick just so I can receive the call. It shows I was not whole. You know, I should be okay with him calling or not calling. You should be okay. Like, it shouldn't be a train smash.
Okay.
And when you feel like you don't really need to get marriage, like you don't go there because you are feeling lonely. Because if it doesn't happen or it doesn't meet your, that's where you're gonna say umjolo what. You should be okay, guys. Should be so whole and complete. And to be at that place, only God can literally make you whole. Once you are whole, you're in a good place to give. Go into marriage because you want to give into your marriage without expecting anything in return. That's a recipe for happiness and the joy.
So the secret is in being whole.
Being whole.
And our last segment, motherhood. In 2020, you became a mom for the first time. Take us through that experience. What was going through your head, your mind? And
obviously, we planned for our baby.
So
the day we decided that we were going to have a baby, I'm sure you watched my pregnancy journey on YouTube. That's the day we conceived. And it was the best day of my life. I screamed when I found out that I was pregnant. I called my mom. I actually called my husband first because he wasn't at home. He was happy. Called my mom. She was with my sister. We were screaming. It was so nice. And after that, now I'm waiting for a baby bump. Like, nothing is showing for the first 3 months. And by the grace of God, I never got sick or anything like that. So I was able to spend a lot of time preparing for motherhood, to be honestly, because but like I said, during the times when I used to be in university, I would watch How to Be a Good Mother, like How to Be a Good a Kingdom Parent by Miles Monroe as well. So I started going through my notes. I have a lot of books where I used to write just to say this is what I want to do when my baby comes, like preparing. So it was easy for me because I never experienced woody morning sicknesses and everything. The only time I felt like I was really pregnant was when we went for gynae visits, because then I could see my baby, and then because they start kicking, I think around 5 months or towards the end of 4 months, I don't remember. So, but yeah, it was a smooth pregnancy until our baby was born. On the 7th of June, and I have just been obsessed ever since. You guys can see.
Definitely.
But yeah, with lots of prayer, I actually shared lots of prayers regarding pregnancy. I think it's the video that is really making rounds on my channel right now, and it's helping a lot of people every single day. I'm not exaggerating. I wake up to a testimony. Prayer works. So with my pregnancy, I think I had so much time to pray. I was in a good position to receive it because we planned it. And when the baby comes, I never went through the postpartum depression. There was a time, there was a wave of sadness that was coming. I remember speaking to a friend of mine. She said to me, we are going to reject it. We are going to pray against that.
Do you feel
you're not
like,
going to fall into depression?
Sorry for cutting.
Yeah, it's okay.
Do you feel like that whole postpartum depression is not normal, like, in a way?
I'm not sure what causes it, honestly, but for me personally, I feel like God can heal mental illness as much as He can heal your heart, and you know, and heal you from any other sicknesses that affect you physically. So person A might say, I need to go for therapy. Maybe that's what works for them. Person B might say, I'm going to believe God. I'm that person B. I will believe God for anything, right? And when I do, He does come through for me, because that is a promise in His word that when we pray and believe that we have received all that we're praying for, we have surely received it. So I literally believe in God. Like when a friend of mine said, let's reject it, we did that, and then it never happened. And recently another sister of mine gave birth, and then she explained she actually cried over the phone. And then I said to her, I remember when I gave birth, because a lot of things change, and also you have expectations, and then they don't happen. Like maybe you plan to breastfeed your child, and then the next thing, milk is not coming. That can affect you. I think a lot of people also, it starts from there. I'm failing my baby, I'm doing what. But with so much prayer in the word of God, you can overcome it at that early stage. So maybe some people want to embrace and want to listen to those who say they went through depression, and then they're like, it's normal, you will. For me, I feel like it's all in the mind. If your thoughts in your mind are consuming that content that says, you embrace it, go through it, cry if you want, do whatever, all the conventional wisdom that is there, maybe it's working for some people. For me, I'd rather go to the word of God. If the word of God declares me more than conqueror, I want to say, I am more than conqueror. I am not going to allow this. I am, God has made this, God, you have blessed me with motherhood. So that sister of mine, she's actually a friend, but she feels like a sister to me. I had to tell her that that's what I felt after giving birth, but I rejected it. A lot of things can happen. I mean, even your emotions are still all over the place. Anything can just trigger you, but don't fall into the trap. Believe God for a different journey. When I felt pregnant, people at work used to say, there is no way you won't have you won't vomit and have all those things. Even in the prayer, I start by saying, I know it's normalized that when you're pregnant, this is what must happen to you. I want to trust you with a different journey. And that's what I got. So I won't be afraid to say, God can prevent those mental illnesses. So you can enjoy motherhood. It's a blessing.
I think many of these things, it's a belief system. Because if you believe that you won't vomit, you won't. If you believe that you will, you will. So
if you are looking to embrace, they will come, so you can embrace those things.
That's true. And what has it taught you, motherhood?
You so much, and the biggest one is patience.
When you have
a baby, you learn to be patient. It tests your patience, but also I also got to learn, now that I'm also exposed to other moms, I got to learn that we can do nothing on our own. It takes grace. So every time you feel like you are failing, ask God for the grace. The grace is available for everyone. Access that grace, you know. So those are the two big things that I've learned with motherhood, is that it's not our own power. It's a lot. You need the grace. When people say on social media, you make it look so easy, it's grace. And you also find it easy because it's great. Grace, that's what, it's an external thing that just helps you to find it easy, to find it so fun, so much fun.
Okay, that's actually good. And my last question is, what is it that your mom taught you that you want to teach your daughter?
Prayer. And a stubborn faith. And every time, like I always say, my mom's faith is, I don't know, I'm telling you. So that's what I will literally pass on to my children, and I hope my daughter will also pass it on to their children as well. So there were times adversity, I'll say my mom's favorite scripture was, God will never leave you nor forsake you. So sometimes you say to her, hey, I'm writing, I don't even have a laptop. Sometimes when I go to the lab, it's full. When I come back, it's not safe for me to walk at night. And now I don't know what I'm going to do. Wanting to cry and everything. And mom just smile and say, in him there is no failure. And you want to... Maybe I'm feeling my emotions.
Because you probably...
why are you so calm? I want to have that faith. And I'm learning from him. I mean from her. Because there was a time... Like, I think it was when we were planning for a wedding. And I'll think about, like, certain things that I'm like, wait, are we not going through this? Sometimes you go like, wait a minute, why are we so joyful? And we lacking money? How are we going to make it this month? But you just somehow just have the joy and go through things with so much peace. Because that's what faith does. It's not because you can see with your eyes that here's the solution. But you can see with your heart and believe what you know, that God has already provided the solution. So that's the faith. I'm learning from my mother.
And you want to pass it down to your daughter.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's actually good. I don't know, do you have anything to add?
No. I think we've spoken a lot.
Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. This was definitely a good conversation. Subscribe, like, comment your thoughts about anything that we've spoken about. Let us know what you think. And thank you guys so much for watching. See you in the next episode, and goodbye.